Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, our detectives have been very busy. And I thought you retired, by the way. And you're back. Well, good. We're glad to have you back. Our detectives have been very busy, as you can tell, the last couple of weeks during some operations. And we want to talk about, once again, this age-old problem that some want to call shoplifting. Some want to call a minor offense. But what we find over and over and over again, this is organized retail crime, organized retail theft. In this particular operation, you've got this gentleman here who owns a store, and you might think, well, he's the centerpiece of the operation, but he's really not. It's the lady on the other side of the board, Malynda, who is the one who is really the centerpiece of the operation. We started this investigation about a month ago. We're in week 4. We started with an investigative lead from Beall's investigative team. They said, look, we've got someone who is stealing us blind. They gave us the tip. We also worked with Cole's Security. Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office helped us with some surveillances over in their county. And here's what would happen. Malynda Ford, known to all of us as Puffy, would steal. Malynda Ford is a real professional. She knows how to successfully steal, as well as how to take off security tags while she's in the store. At the end of the day, she would steal, and then most all of these other folks, a couple of others would steal, but most all of them were returners. She needed a lot of different returners because they will only allow you to return so much. So she would pay them as little as $10 to make a return. When they made a return, they would give you a store credit card, if you will, or a credit with their store. And she would either sell that credit card for about 1/3 the value, or she would sell the product at about 1/3 the retail value to this gentleman right here, Ray Morse. As a result, we worked diligently. We had 9 arrests initially. When we arrested Malynda, she wanted to assist us. And the reason for that's obvious. She has an 18-year criminal history. She's got a lot of charges. She's been to state prison 2 times before, and she understands she's in trouble this time. One of the people we arrested during the operation was Eucla Cook. And she works as a city employee for Lakeland at Cleveland Heights Golf and Country Club, where she works in the kitchen. And she would place orders with Malynda, and she would say, hey, I want a card to Cole's, I want a card to Beall's, I need a Lowe's card, and whatever card she needed, that's where they would steal toward that operation. When we arrested her, she had a trafficking amount of hydrocodone in her possession while at work at Cleveland Heights. Malynda has 18 felony arrests, 25 misdemeanor arrests. We've got 7 unknown charges. We're not sure what they are. But there are people that think the criminal justice system's too tough. What we find is it's a very forgiving system. In fact, it's too forgiving. She only has 3 felony and 3 misdemeanor convictions out of all of those arrests and charges. But once again, she has been to state prison a couple of times. 9 of these folks, by their own admission, are receiving federal assistance. This is not new, but it's something that I think we all should ponder for just a second. We're working hard, paying our federal taxes, with the intent of this money going to people who need help. But instead, we're paying people. We're providing federal assistance with our taxpayers. While we work, we're paying people not to work, but to go to stores and steal. Well, not only are they stealing from the stores, but guess what? The stores have to cover that shrinkage. So they add it back to our cost every time we go to a store and shop. Think about that. We work, we pay taxes, they do nothing but steal, and then we pay more for that when we go to buy a product from work. That incites me. It really does. Quite frankly, I would love to see us be tough on these folks so that we could not give those who steal and those who violate the law federal assistance. Then turn around with that federal assistance and either rebate it to the taxpayer or give it to the people who really deserve it and really need the money. Ray Morris owns a store, Keandra's Woman's World. Keandra's Woman's World, 425 Central Avenue in Lakeland. We served a search warrant at his store, and you'll never guess what he had in that store. Stolen property. Stolen property that Malynda had sold to him. There were other property in that store, many different pieces of property in that store that we couldn't identify as stolen, but we're highly suspicious that that property was more than likely stolen as well. That is still under investigation. Well, not only did Ray Morris own the store and stock his store with stolen property from Malynda, his brother, Taurus Morris, would buy stolen property while in rental vehicles on the street. And we're working to see what the connection, why is he always in a rental vehicle? Unless, of course, he's afraid that he'll get caught up in something and lose his vehicle because it would be a felony and obviously we would take the product. We served the search warrant on the store and recovered quite a bit of property. But folks, look at these people. This group of people here, just on average, from a one-day snapshot of us following Malynda around and watching the returners, a one-day snapshot tells us this one group would average $350,000 to $400,000 a year in theft. Now you extrapolate that across the county, across the state, across the nation, and you can see what we have is a multi-billion-dollar industry of organized retail crime. We've been here before with a lot larger operations, but when you look at the size of this operation, for only a 30-day period, we're staggered. Interestingly enough, there are a lot of law enforcement agencies that give NTAs or notices to appear for retail theft. They don't take them to jail. They just give them a court date and recover the property whenever store security has caught them, and everybody goes along their way. Some of these folks have told us that they more often target stores where there is a notice to appear policy rather than a pro-arrest policy. At the sheriff's office, it's arrest, take them to jail, lock them up. And as a result, we know that just the ride to jail is causing people to seek other stores to go to. Malynda said after she was caught a couple of times in Polk County, she spread out to Brandon and Tampa. She moved out of the area so that she wouldn't be noticed. But once again, my message to all law enforcement agencies is please take them all to jail, because we're not dealing with somebody who has just stolen a shirt many times. We're dealing with potentially organized retail theft, and there's no shortage to the opportunity to make these cases. Are there any questions?
Do we know which departments are doing this?
You'll have to check. The sheriff's office, I know, I can only speak for my policy, but we take everybody to jail. The policy is you steal, you go to jail. There is something just invigorating when you slam that jail door behind someone.
The vast majority of theft was done by Malynda, or all of it, or?
Malynda did the majority of it. A couple of others stole, but most of these people were her returners. She is the center figure in this operation.
And what percentage of what was going on was Ray Morris's store? Is he just a minor player, or is he selling a lot of stuff?
Ray Morris was just one of the people she dealt with.
Okay. So he wasn't selling a lot of stuff, but you singled him up because he actually had a store.
He had a store, and he was dealing in stolen property. He was taking her property. So yes, he took a lot of her property, but he wasn't the sole person she was dealing with. But you could order it up. You could tell her, I need shirts, I need dresses, I need plumbing supplies, or I would just like to have a cash card so I can go shop at the stores. And whatever you ordered up, Belinda would facilitate.
Why was she so good, and how did she do all this stealing?
She's so good because she's done it for years and years and years.
I mean, what kind of techniques?
The techniques are simply that she would go into the store and she would find the product that she wanted to steal, and she would use some maneuvers that we don't want to give away to others who want to steal, but she would hide the property on her body, and out of the store she would go. Now, she was arrested occasionally, but she certainly got away with this much more than she was ever arrested.
Is there any surveillance tape available on her doing some of this stuff?
We do have that. Do we have a couple of clips today?
Not of her concealing the items, but of her in the stores and doing returns and other suspects doing returns. We have the B-roll.
She was a rather rotund woman, wasn't she?
She was not anorexic.
Is there, when we say that she would hide it on her body, I don't want you to give away too much, but I saw she had a pretty big caboose. And
She had the ability to conceal property more easily than other people.
On her body, under the clothes, basically.
Yes. Yes.
And nobody noticed it for a large part going out the door?
She was good. She was very good.
Was it just 2 or 3, or was it?
Well, she didn't take the entire department store out, but she could take a portion of it out.
Okay.
Okay? She would take 6, 7 shirts, 10 shirts at a time.
On her body?
Yes.
How do these other folks fit into the scene?
Returners. This is a store owner. She was the major thief. One, we're still looking for her. We think she's in Mississippi. One lady we haven't arrested, we know where she is, but HIPAA rules prevent us from telling you where she is. That's a clue. But as soon as HIPAA's no longer involved with her, then we'll have her arrested. But the rest of them are in custody. But store owner, major stealer, a couple of the others stole, but most of these are returners. See, they won't allow you to return but so much over a 30-day period. So she had to have a team of people so that she could rotate them through the stores. She would steal from one Beall's, return to another. Sometimes she would steal out of one Beall store, go out in the parking lot, give it to somebody else, and they'd turn around and take it back in the store to return it.
Now, are we talking about Beall's, or are we talking about Beall's outlet?
Both.
Okay.
And Kohl's. And Lowe's. And I think Winn-Dixie. And Steinmart. You could order up from Malynda Ford whatever you needed, and she could deliver it.
And I hate to ask this again, but I was actually laughing over your answer. I apologize for that, Sheriff. But what she would do, if you could explain to me, she would hide the clothes under her clothing in her phone.
She would hide the stolen property underneath her clothing. And she would successfully leave the store with 7 or 8 shirts at a time. She's a professional. She can remove the security tags. She's very good at what she does. She told one of our detectives, she said, well, I think I'm pretty good. And he says, well, I've seen a lot of people, and I can tell you, you're a professional. You are exceptionally good. Now, that's frightening when you've reached that status. But we've got another term for her, professional jailbird. We intend for her to spend some time in state prison over this, and certainly we want the others to pay a hefty penalty as well, because after all, they're stealing from us. We may say, oh, they're stealing from the stores. Ladies and gentlemen, the stores aren't losing or they wouldn't be there. We're paying for that. The consumer is paying every time someone steals from a store.
Do you all have a value of what you recovered? Merchandise that you were-
No, we recovered, some merchandise we weren't able to recover because we were watching the pattern of where the merchandise went to. We did recover some property with a search warrant, but it wasn't an overwhelming amount of property.
And how long was this organization running before you got to them?
She has done this for 18 years. Now, she didn't do it with all the same people,
Right.
but she has stolen for 18 years.
But it looks like your operation started like.
We,
Right.
just 30 days ago. Yes, sir.
Can you go over the dollar figure again of how much they were pulling in a month, and explain why you have Ms. Cook on the top there, side by side with the
Well, well, Miss Cook was one of the buyers. She's also in possession of a trafficking amount of hydrocodone. She also was working for government when she was not only in possession of a felony amount of drugs, a trafficking amount of drugs, but she was ordering up while she was at work. She should have been working, not ordering stolen property. So we took her away from the job, locked her up in the county jail, which is where she needed to be. Okay?
Chair, the fact that these cities and the counties are putting the notice to appear, is that a systematic failure in the state?
I believe from the bottom of my heart that we started the notices to appear because there was a philosophy back in the day that, well, this is minor stealing, oh, it's kids, oh, it's somebody who made a mistake and walked out with a piece of property. I think this culture caught on a long time ago when resources were short, as they traditionally are in law enforcement. It's a trip down to the county jail from the different cities. It takes time, and after all, the end result is they're going to end up in court anyway.
So your message is to the.
But my message is, when you send people to jail, it makes a difference. That's why these folks look for stores where there were notices to appear given rather than locking them up in jail. When you lock someone up in jail, they have to post a bond. They are inconvenienced. And it's all about sending the message that you don't want to come back and steal from this store. And that's the message that we want to send to everyone. If you think you're going to steal and not go to jail, wrong. We're putting you in jail every time, period.